Welcome to Fred Knot. My name's Rob.
My name's Colton, and welcome to the Meet Your Maker series.
Man, it's been a while since we've done a Meet Your Maker series, hasn't it?
Yep, it has.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining the channel. We have somebody special on here for you today from Soleil Custom Guitars. Yep. Yeah, so I've mispronounced it since day one. So.
Oh, I definitely did too.
We actually had one of our viewers from up north correct us on it and tell us the correct way to pronounce it, which is great.
Yeah.
Because we're just looking at stuff on paper, you know. So listen, guys, thanks for stopping in the channel. We've got a Meet Your Maker series today. If you don't know anything about this series, what we do is we try to get you a few minutes on camera with some of these custom guitar builders, some of these high-end luthiers that we pick these guitars up from. Just to get you a chance to meet the person and kind of see who they are. Because we know when we started this, even before the channel, we're going online, we're looking at pictures online, we're talking to somebody online via email, and we're sending them a ton of money to build a guitar, and we don't have a clue who we're sending the money to.
Right.
And really don't know what we're going to get back, you know? So we started this series so you guys can meet these luthiers. Now we've already done Reichart, and he's an American luthier, and today we're with Jesse, and he's an American luthier. So Jesse, introduce yourself, tell everybody about your company, and tell us how your day's going.
Well, my day's going great so far. So I'm Jesse with Soleil Custom Guitars. Started back in 2021. And been tinkering with guitars for a really long time, but started to do it professionally kind of, after the whole pandemic thing kind of started. So
Right.
it was one of those things where it was never could find a guitar I really liked, and always kind of messed around with things. I've been a huge technology nerd and a huge guitar player for a long period of time, and I thought, well, just why not? No one's stopping me. So,
well, speaking of that, we've got a few questions we'd like to go through. They're kind of standard, but we kind of try to get these questions done for all the luthiers. We think this is kind of maybe pretty good for what our viewers are looking for. So, Colton.
Yeah. So, fresh out of the gate, when did you start playing guitar?
I actually started playing bass guitar when I was 16, so about 20 years ago. I was listening to Metallica basically.
Yes, we all were.
Yeah, since about 7 years old. My older brother kind of really got me into that. He had a cover band, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but they did mostly Metallica covers, and they had a bassist who I swear could have been Cliff's twin. So
right.
He was absolutely incredible. He could play anything on the bass guitar, and it was one of those things that just blew me away. So, so about 16, I started playing, and I think they had gotten a new bass player at that time, and I think he was going on vacation and he left his bass guitar lying around. Big mistake. So.
Right.
And it was a fretless, so
Wow, nice.
I mean, so I just picked it up, started noodling around on it, and of course wanted him to teach me to play it, and he kind of refused. But
right.
This dumb kid wanting to play his really nice bass guitar. But so I did that I played bass for probably about 2 years, and then Kirk Hammett and his solos and everything else, I was just like, man, bass is kind of lame. So,
right.
No offense, bass guitar players, but I really wanted to play those solos and the rhythm guitar from James and everything else. Yeah. And from then on, I was hooked. I was a metalhead. So,
oh yeah, I remember those days. We were strung out too, man. We were heavily into Metallica and all things around Metallica, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Black Album, Ride the Lightning, all that, just it really hooked me. So I think a couple years later, my dad had bought me like a really cheap I think it was that ESP M series, just a six string. And I cut my teeth on that one, and
Cool.
until that won't play anymore. So
Cool.
Good.
yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned it already, but remind us again, when did you start making guitars?
Professionally in 2021.
2021.
But for the past, oh geez, 6 or 7 years at least, I've been doing just minor repairs, fret work, and a lot of wiring and pickups and modifications and things like that. So, it really started with the tinkering side of things, because that's just in my nature. I'm just one of those kind of people. But after a while, it was like, okay, well, if I'm going to constantly be fixing guitars the way they should play or should sound, at least in my head, it only made sense to make them myself, because it was just always kind of a letdown when you pay a premium for a guitar and then you get it in your hands and you're like, it looks nice.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that scenario many a times, and I believe we talked a little bit yesterday, and I told you that when I changed radically about 10 years ago, I'm not mad at anybody, but I just swore off paying all that money for the big brands, because a lot of the times it's amazing in the store, it's amazing while you're waiting on it, and you get it, and it's good. But it just the thrill kind of goes away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, I mean, obviously these larger companies are just pumping out guitars by the thousands, and they've got a process down to where they narrow down a price point and a certain quality and all that kind of stuff. But it's the small details where they really miss.
Yeah. We've noticed that. Yeah, we're on the same page with you on that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just that little extra touch that a custom builder. That's why you buy a custom instrument. It's not so much the looks and the feel and all that kind of stuff. That's all kind of subjective. But realistically, you get a guitar with bad frets that you pay, I don't know, $2,500, $3,500 for, and then it's like you got to take it to a luthier to make the frets,
Yeah.
playable and not buzz right out of the case. So that's just one of those. That's one of those things, and that's why I started doing it, because I could never pick up a guitar, even an ESP. I got a really nice ESP, and I love ESP guitars. A lot of my stuff is kind of got some of that influenced into them, but I had fret buzz on 3 frets.
Good.
I understand.
$3,000, so.
Yeah, trust me, it's kind of why I purchase what I purchase. You know what I mean? It's probably another reason why we do the entry level side, because even though people aren't spending a ton of money per se, if you're looking at the big picture, it could be a world of money to them. So that purchase
Absolutely.
to us is really important.
Yeah.
And you can't just, if you've only got a certain amount of money, you can't just keep throwing that away and keep getting bad. You know what I mean? So we try to find the ones for the money that actually play pretty good. You know what I mean? That we think, in the big picture will kind of last you and, kind of give you a semblance of getting what you pay for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and obviously, I think most people are in that boat. They not a lot of people can afford a really high-end guitar, and that's 100% understandable. And it's I played on fairly inexpensive guitars for most of my life. So,
I know.
and it was just
We
because
did.
I couldn't afford to spend that kind of money, for the first couple of years, but. It gets you to the point where you're like, okay, well, then you can start stepping up to the next instrument. Realistically, it's all about helping you get the guitar out of the way so that you can play what you want to play.
Yep.
So we're going to, Colton's got a few more questions. We do want to go over real quick, like when those are done, we want to go over the guitar we got from you, which we absolutely love. I'm just telling you, it's freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks.
And we don't want to spend a ton of time on that because these guys on here have already seen the review on that, but maybe somebody hasn't. But we want to talk about your new line.
Yeah.
We want to kind of go over that a little bit, and I'll try to get some pictures up for everybody, and we want to kind of explain to everybody kind of what's going on with those, and if there's a time frame or whatever, maybe when you'll start getting those where people can order those too.
Yeah.
Colton?
Yeah.
So I know you said you listened to a lot of Metallica, and that's what like kind of inspired you to really kind of want to start playing guitar or bass, rather. But would you say that there's any other kind of genre that has sort of influenced the way you make guitars, like in terms of sound or shape or just anything at all?
So are you a metal guitar maker or not?
I would say mostly yes.
Yeah.
And that's just me personally. There's a lot of people out there that listen to multiple different genres, and I try to accommodate that. Because realistically, you can order kind of whatever you want within the body shape
Right.
that I make. But I've moved away from kind of Metallica and the older school metal into I like metalcore, and there's Swedish like death metal and all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, I will say this: the guitar we got from you, I have a feeling that thing will play anything. I mean, it's very versatile, so that's good.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to ever play more than one genre with it, just to be honest. But I mean, I think it'll play anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try to not bottleneck it into kind of one genre.
Right.
But realistically, it's not your classic rock guitar, so
Right.
or blues or jazz or anything like that. So I am kind of geared more towards that heavier style of music, and that really influences the shape and the neck shape and fret work and all that kind of different stuff. So I hope that answered your question.
No, you did.
Yeah.
Yep. Just on the heavier side of stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of gear do you prefer to play through, or do you just like what's your regular kind of setup, like an amp or pedal?
Well, as to
I mean, you got to test them. You have to test them, right? So what's your test rig? What do you use? Because a lot of people, when we buy guitars, or when everybody buys guitars, and you're buying from a luthier, what they listen to at the very end before they ship it out on quality control. I mean, to me, I'm curious. I'm always curious about that. You know what I mean? I want to know what you're playing through when you decide that this is it. It's at its right point. You know?
Yeah. So initially, just testing and things like that to go through a lot of tonal variety without having to have a bunch of different heads or anything, because that gets cumbersome and rather expensive. I like to use Neural DSP and a couple of other different plugins.
Imagine that.
Yeah, to really go through just every tone that I can possibly imagine, that at least that I would play it. I think my audience would enjoy as well. So I've got a Scarlett interface. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Just running into straight into that Neural DSP.
Cool.
Nice.
And so I just go through a bunch of different plugins there. Been really enjoying the Gojira one lately.
Of course, we've since they released it. Well, we had it, but since they released it to where you could put it on the Quad Cortex, we haven't used anything but that. We pretty much run the JD9 rhythm.
Yeah.
That's what we run, especially for our entry level, and that's just to kind of keep all those guitars on the same patch, so you can, if you were thinking about buying one of 5, you could go back and kind of hear the difference in the pickups.
Yep.
because we don't EQ
Right.
it, we don't touch it, we just run that patch.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, I guess I get a solid baseline.
yeah. So
But yeah, and then if I really want to jam out and annoy my neighbors, I do have a 5150 head, and
Nice.
yes,
I think it's a 1989 PV 4x12 with some vintage 30s in it.
ooh,
There you go.
And that thing, I mean, it's built like an absolute tank. They don't make them like that anymore.
yeah,
But,
right, yeah. They don't make them like that anymore, unfortunately.
right. So yeah. So that would be kind of what I use.
Well, those
for
were
myself.
at that time. Those were, and I'm not saying anything about now that they're not, but the music industry when you toured, it wasn't so much like going into a deal and just plugging into the front of the house and everything being there for you. You had to take equipment
Mm-hmm.
because I
Oh
have
yeah,
broke my back for years hauling equipment. So,
this
and you
stuff's
had to,
heavy.
yeah, you had to have good equipment, and there was a lot of that stuff. I own some of that stuff about that time frame, man. That stuff was built like a stinking tank.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I swear it's made out of like 2-inch thick plywood. It's ridiculous.
Right, right.
Well, nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. The Neural's awesome. Love
Yes,
playing through
we
it.
love the
Love it.
neural.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard to say if there's a replacement for tubes, because there's just that something a little bit special within a tube it's really hard to replicate digitally, but they've come really close. So
They're really, they're really close. I used to be a strong proponent of not using anything digital simply because of that, because it was such a gap between tubes and digital. But it is
yeah,
so much closer.
yeah, yeah, especially now. Yep.
Well, we can move on to the next one. What about acoustics? Do you ever see yourself making an acoustic, or have you considered it, or just not so much?
Uh, I won't. I will
Hey,
never say
Jesse,
never.
there are acoustic guitars on Metallica every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard. I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm just
No, I don't have any. I don't have any problem with acoustic guitars. I think they're wonderful. It's not something that I play all the time. I got them
right.
stuffed away in a corner. But as far as building them goes, I mean,
Hey,
again,
with
I won't say
neural, you
never.
can, yeah, but with neural, you can just about replicate it on an electric. You know what I mean?
Just about.
You can get it stupid close.
Yeah, yeah, and especially if you got like a piezoelectric bridge or something
Yep.
like that, you can get really close. I do enjoy those. It might be something in the future, but it's a whole different animal.
It
It's
is. Yeah, we
it's
realize that.
nothing.
That's why we ask, because some
Mm-hmm.
people are just focused in one direction, and we always ask everybody that question just to kind of see if that scope is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm pretty niche down,
Right.
so not in the near future. But again, never say never. So
Open to it then, I guess. Right.
So we got one more question, but first, all you guys out there watching, make sure there should be somewhere plastered, floating, coming in and out. It's doing something on this, but make sure you go
yeah,
to his website. Make sure, yeah, I don't know, I always do it wrong, so I just say it somewhere on here. Make
yeah,
sure you go to his website and check out what he's doing. We go ahead and do this last question because I'm anxious to ask about the new stuff.
Okay. So last question, where do you see, or where would you like to see yourself or your company, in 5 years or so?
well, I definitely want to keep it small, and the reason for that is, a quality control, just being able to. I'm not going to say I'm a control freak, but
You kind of
everything that
have
goes
to
out.
be
Yeah.
if your name's on the guitar.
Yeah. So I don't want a bunch of hands, a guitar being passed through a bunch of hands that aren't quite up to a standard. So, I'd love to see the company grow, but I think one thing that I would change if it does grow enough, is that instead of having a guitar passed through multiple hands through multiple stages, I think it would be beneficial to have each luthier from start to end,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
so that when it's their name on it, it's not, well, oh, I only sanded
Yeah.
it, and then the next
Yeah.
guy is gonna do that, so it. I think that would be the only way that I would want it to grow. But in 5 years, I mean, I just want to listen to the community, see what their feedback is, and see what kind of designs and you know just different specifications that they're looking for, and try to always be nimble and always be able to listen to the customer and really get something in the hands that they really want, rather than just what I want. So that's kind of the struggle for me.
We
But
got the guitar from you, and there's pictures of that up. We have a full review of it up. We absolutely, I'm not saying this because you're on here, but we absolutely love that guitar. The fit,
appreciate that.
finish, the playability. It's just, as soon as you touch it, I mean, the second you touch it, it did not come out of a factory. If you've ever touched factory guitars, that guitar is handmade, and man, the care in it is amazing. And I'm not just pulling your chain because you're on here. I'm being honest with you. But
No, appreciate that.
I am really curious, and I have a ulterior motive. I'm really curious about you to tell everybody about the new guitars.
Oh yeah, the dark matter.
Yeah, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I don't own a headless. And I have been
Well,
that close 20 times to buying a headless, and I'm like, do I really want that company to be the one that sells me the only headless that I have? You know what I mean? I need to be picky on which company I buy a headless from. And when you sent me those rough drafts a while back, I was like, man, that might be it. That might
It looks
be
pretty
it.
cool.
yeah. So I've always liked headless guitars. The problem is that the market seems to be going towards copycatting a bit. There's a large company out there with name starts with an S.
Imagine that.
And I'm not trying to make them look bad or anything, but a lot of other companies tend to try to replicate it as much as possible because it's gained so much popularity over the years. So the dark matter was kind of it's a variation of it, but it's quite different. So I wanted it to be more of an S style guitar, but with a little bit of subtle differences, being that the lower horn doesn't actually curve inward, it curves outwards.
Right.
Because the headless, you don't have a lot of weight on the headstock, so they tend to be body heavy. And just the way that particular body shape was going to sit, because I did try it the other way, it tended to kind of slide down on my leg and not, kind of stay a little bit more balanced. So having that lower horn curve the opposite direction kind of holds it onto your leg. And then the neck shape, I'm sure you guys know my neck shape is a little bit different.
Hey, I like your neck shape.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep that neck shape on the dark matter as well. So it is that modern. You can call it C to D or D to C, depending on which way
Right.
orient the neck. But it does, especially on the 7-string, it gives your thumb a little bit more placement to kind of shred up and down there. And then a lot of guitar companies will have the they'll have their pickups kind of just off the shelf.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have the pickup just like a traditional guitar, where the strings are passing over it, past the bridge at the same point, because I think you get the most bite out of the pickup that way. So I actually have bare knuckle custom make the pickup to a different to the exact angle of the bridge.
Nice.
So there's a lot of subtle customizations on that guitar, and I use all hip shot on it.
Yes.
I don't really want
We're
to
big
stay
hip.
away from it.
We're hip shot fanboys, so I guess if you
Yeah,
can,
and so am I.
because I have nothing against Goto. I like Goto stuff, and I don't if a guitar is gonna. I mean, if Goto's the option, it's the option. But I am a hip shot person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've partnered with Hipshot, so I'm not per se a brand loyalist or anything like that, but they've proven themselves time and time
Yeah,
again, and
they make a
they're
good
solid.
product, man.
Yeah.
They're very, very
Well,
solid.
listen. Make sure if you're out there, whether it's your first time on the channel, you've been here 1,000 times, regardless, make sure you go and check out Jesse's website. It should be floating around, bouncing around, flashing at you. It's doing something on there right now. So make sure you go over there and check out his stuff. Make sure you look at those new ones, those dark matter, and we're really interested in seeing those when you get those prepared and ready. We would love to demo / buy / steal / covet, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
We're
sneak
really
into
interested
the.
in. Hey, and listen, I'm not putting you under any pressure, but I've literally 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks I have took my finger off the buy now on headlesses because I'm just kind of waiting. I want to
Yeah.
see those. So
Yeah, and I'm working on producing them. So
I know you are.
And then and for anybody interested, I do have a more traditional shape. This would be the Orion.
Oh, nice.
That's really nice, and I almost bought that
Yeah, that
when
looks
we
great.
bought that one from you. The reason I didn't, and I think I told you when we were discussing it, is I didn't want the tremolo. I didn't want any style
Yep.
of tremolo. So that's
Yeah,
that's
and
a gorgeous guitar.
I like the neck joint on the back. That's real
Yeah, he
slick.
does really good neck joints.
Yeah, that like it almost looks like bolt on, but it's not. It's real cool.
Yeah, you got a lot of access there, and this one doesn't pull back, so it can be fixed.
Right. Yeah, but at that time, I saw the color on the one I bought, and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
That one looks cool.
yeah, and I'm the kind of guy that I don't paint guitars.
Right.
It's either going to be natural or it's going to be some kind of wild color.
Right.
So I like
Well,
that.
listen,
kind of thing.
man, we are deeply appreciative of you getting on here with us, and we're going to get this video out to all of our viewers, and hopefully some people are going to get on there and see that just because you go to a website. Now, guys, we can't go interview every luthier. That's not going to happen. But we're just trying to show you, because a lot of times we FaceTime type stuff with these people to discuss how we're building guitars and how they're building our guitar. So we just figured we'd bring that to you guys so you can see it.
Yeah.
Listen, man, we are deeply appreciative of you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come on here and hang out with us. And
Absolutely.
we look forward to getting our eyes, something on those dark matters. And we can't wait.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it, guys, and yeah, and like you said, meeting the guy behind the faceless website, I think it is helpful, and this is the interaction that you guys are having with me is something that you can have with me as well if you want to build a guitar, so you don't have to
That's
just
awesome.
email some
Yeah.
random dude. And I'm just a normal guy. There's nothing special here. So
I think that's really cool to be able to to meet the person that would be making your guitar.
Yep.
Yep,
Well, listen,
give me a
man,
call.
we appreciate you. We are thankful that you came on here with us, and we look forward to all the great stuff you and your company are doing in the future, and we need to be involved.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
All right, man. Have a great day, and we'll catch you hopefully here soon when I'm sitting here holding the dark matter.
All righty, Rob. And thank you, Colton.
Not a problem.
All right, man. You have a great day.
All right, you too, guys.
Bye.
See you later.